The Hogsty is brought to you by TicketClub.com, your one-stop shop for live events nationwide. Whether you're looking for game, theater, or live performance tickets, don't sweat it. TicketClub.com has you covered. So make sure you're going there for all your live entertainment needs, and make sure you're clicking over to them from the banner at the top of thehogsty.com.
By fans, for fans, the Hog Style. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another week's edition of the Hogsty. I am still not Sean Conti. He is somewhere in a Las Vegas jail cell for all we know, and we're not bailing him out because we're broke. So, it's really a two-man show today. It's just me and Steve. Kind of a quiet week, Steve, that's been going on in Redskins land. So we have some things we can talk about, but how are things going, down there in the warm South right now?
Well, first of all, it's a way to pump up the show.
Yeah, right?
This is a quiet week. We really don't have much to talk about.
No one's here. Nothing's going on. Why are you all listening?
Yeah, it's a very quiet week in football and Redskins land. I don't remember it being quite this quiet in years past in the weeks leading up to the draft. Maybe I'm just remembering it wrong. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like little things used to get us more pumped up. They'd have more visits right now, and those just aren't happening.
Yeah, and also the Redskins are so... typically, it seems to me the people they bring in to visit are the guys we know they're not going to draft. Because Bruce, Allen and company are such... they do their best to cover their tracks, so I'm not sure It really matters who they bring in, honestly. And in terms of Sean, no, I'm not bailing him out. If he gets stuck in jail in Vegas, he's on his own.
Yeah. Sean, you got to earn it the hard way.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say we've all been there, but I haven't, so I don't.
No. I've actually never been in a jail cell, so
I have, but only from the other side.
Right. Well, with what you do for a living, I guess that makes sense. All right. Well, why don't we just kind of get started? We had a poll, draft round 2, which is always a fun thing that we like to do. We do each first 3 rounds of the draft, or this year it'll be 1, 2, and 4.
Right.
But let's get into this. The fan vote for who we should pick in draft round 2.
Yeah, and by the way, I am tempted to put up a round 3 poll just as a joke and see how many. Because I would put no, nope, no vote. I'd do 4 variations of no. And I guarantee you, the vote would be split between all 4 of them.
Yeah. Well, we need to do fun things, like they should order a pizza. They should,
This is the time to go get a cup of coffee.
A nice stroll around the draft room. Stretch the legs.
Yeah. All right. Excuse me. Okay, so as you guys recall, we are doing our annual mock draft for the year listener mock draft. Last week, we did round 1. And you guys drafted Florida State safety Derwin James as the hypothetical Redskins first-round draft pick. And so round 2 is based on the idea that we have drafted Derwin James, the safety.
Right.
And this is how this will proceed. We're probably only going to do through round 4 and cut it off, mainly because we're running out of time, and then it becomes also sort of a pointless exercise.
Right, and fans have no idea who to get after that anyway.
No, yeah, really, no. And honestly, I mean, when we're limited to 4 choices on these Twitter polls, it's pointless. So
yeah.
Anyway, so what we do, and the other thing we try to do is we always try to give you guys a choice in position groups, to be fair and give everybody a chance to express their views. So, but this week, in light of the fact that the Redskins have clearly been so hot on running backs, we actually gave you a choice of 2 running backs in round 2.
Right.
So.
Now, let's also say, when we were discussing this, Jamal wanted to go all running backs.
Yeah, he did. That's a bit much.
Yeah.
A bit much. So by the way, we off the air debated how to pronounce this guy's name. And so what we did is we went with Sonny Michel from Georgia.
Sonny.
Sony. Yeah. So in other words, the TV and a girl. Right. That's how to pronounce his name, we think. So if we're pronouncing your name wrong, we're sorry, because we know you're listening. So, Sony Michel from Georgia, running back Rashad Penny from San Diego State, guard Frank Ragnow from Arkansas, and defensive lineman Tim Settle from Virginia Tech. And I'll just say that we went with Ragnow because that is the guy who Adam said is the best choice. Our own Adam Tarasky, who does our draft previews, that is the guy who Adam said is the best choice at guard in round 2. So,
and he is a good pick. Who's the other? They met with somebody else last week, but that means they probably won't take him, right?
Yeah, For those of you who don't realize this, Bruce Allen and the Redskins are really good at meeting with people and then never have any intent of drafting.
I think Billy Price is who they met with last week. Is that
they might. I think they did meet with Billy Price. So anyway, those are the 4 choices. So it's Michelle, Penny, Ragnow, and Settle. So 2 running backs, a guard, and defensive line. We could have put linebackers in there, but realistically, we think one of these are the way to go. So, as we do every week, Alex, take a stab at what you think the people voted for. I was a little surprised, I got to be honest. I was a little surprised at the results. I'll give you that much. I'll give you a hint that much.
It's a tough one for me because, we picked the 3 positions of need.
Right.
I'm going to guess because the fans who I interact with on our, Facebook, or not Facebook,
we have
on our
a
blog
Facebook page that we ignore. I think we ignore our Facebook pretty much, don't we?
We pretty much do because no one wants to, edit it and it's a pain. Anyway, but the guys who I interact with are so obsessed with D-line. I think they went with Settle from Virginia Tech, especially since we didn't grab a D lineman in the first round.
Yeah, first of all, the guys who are on our blog may or may not be a representative sample because those guys are crazy in some cases.
Right.
They're lunatics, which is why they're blogging about the Redskins and all sorts of other junk all day long. But feel free to join that group because we've had a couple newbies show up. I
like the new people. The new people are less crazy.
Yeah, and less crazy is good because some of those guys, have a screw loose. Okay. Now, you picked Settle. Now, interestingly enough, this is why I said it was surprising. Settle came in last on this poll. And we got good participation, by the way, on this one.
Yeah,
so
I noticed. I didn't look
double.
at, because I'm trying to be more honest with these things. I didn't vote to see what the results were.
Yeah,
but when I checked in, it was well over 300, which is always a good sign.
Yeah, if we can, yes. So we did well. So, yeah, Tim Settle actually came in last. Sony Michel won this poll with a vote of 56%. That's what surprised me. Frank Ragnow came in second with a vote of 17%. Mm-hmm. Rashad Penny, 14%. And Settle brought up the rear at 13%. I don't know if people just didn't like the choices we gave them in Settle or what. And again, I put Settle in there because that's the guy that kind of matched up with Adam's draft.
We didn't want to give you a bunch of guys who, hey, they're all first rounders and dropped. We wanted a bunch of second rounders.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, It's just not realistic to think that Quentin Nelson is going to be there in the second round. But
right. Even though if he was, that would be a very, very nice thing for us. Yeah,
and also, if you guys disagree with this, write a comment. And we got a decent amount of comments here on this thing, so I will read some of them as I always do. So we will start with a guy named Winning Off the Field. Wonder what that could mean.
Yeah.
It means he's irritated with Bruce Allen, which isn't exactly a novel thought.
No.
He writes, Ragnow, get a good cheap guard that can start for years. Worry about running back later in the draft. Someone good will fall. I don't know if I agree with you, but that is his opinion on it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Thom, who is at SkinsFan76, writes, I like Chubbs better than Michelle for us. In my opinion, we need a thumper. I like the way you think, Thom. Let's see. We'll go with Fred Marhoff, who is at Freddie Fritz. He voted for Settle. He says, my first choice would have been Harrison Phillips if he were available. We need to improve the D-line. So there's one of your D-line things. And I'll say that I thought about putting Phillips in there, but Adam had him ranked below Settle. That's why we didn't put Phillips.
Interesting. Yeah. I didn't realize Adam had him ranked there. Or when did he do D-line? That was 2 weeks ago now? Something like that, right?
Yeah, it was more than that. It was only 3 weeks ago. But also remember, he played with Settle. He knows Settle personally.
That's true. So, that's true.
Because for those of you who don't remember, Adam played at Virginia Tech. So matter of fact, Adam was an offensive lineman, so he probably went against Settle in practice all the time. So he knows Settle really well. So I trust his opinion on Tim Settle.
Yeah.
Adam, another Adam, not our Adam, who is at Red Skinner 39, writes Penny is better than the rest of them. So there's somebody who is going for Rashad
He was
Penny.
a Penny vote. That's okay.
Yeah, well, and that's I was surprised that so many people picked. It was such a lopsided Michelle to Penny vote. I really was.
See, I'm not surprised. I think Michelle. Some people would say he might be the second best in the class. Or maybe third behind Geis.
We'll tell you what. Let's get back to that because I have thoughts. Let's get back through the comments. So first, okay, we're gonna go with Fire Mueller now, and we're not making a political statement here. This is this person's name. So those of you who don't like it, don't come around to me. He or she is at Cookie M59797679. Whatever.
That is a weird name.
Yeah, it really is. He or she writes, Sony Michelle is the only second-round talent. Penny and Ragnar are third-rounders. Settle is a fourth or fifth-round guy. So there's someone who completely disagreed with our choices. So, I always like it
That's
when we
fine.
get criticized.
You're free to disagree, Mr. Fire Mueller now. Yeah. Whatever, number.
Blah, 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 long numbers.
Yeah.
Dean Fenwick who's at Red Pigskins, right? Sony, if that's what it comes to, but I'd still prefer the Pain. A pun play on words. He's talking about Deron Payne, meaning his vote really and truly would have been.
But isn't Deron? See, I feel like Deron Payne's a first rounder.
I do too. That's why I didn't want to put him in there.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, clearly, if Deron Payne was there, I'd go with him over Settle. But
I mean, again, he's a first rounder.
It's one of those things. I'd prefer Kate Upton to show up on my doorstep, but she's not going to. Kind of thing.
Right. Sure.
Last one here. This is Ty, who is at Live Free Ty Hard. He writes,
I like puns.
Live Free Ty Hard. Yeah, see? Another pun. He writes, Penny has the potential to be the total package more than any other running back other than Saquon Barkley in this draft. None of the other running backs are more complete than him. That's an interesting thought, and that's why I was surprised that Sony was such a much higher vote. So,
here I'll give you the counter argument for why I think Sony gets more votes, and I think it's about conferences. Penny played in San Diego State University,
Mountain West.
Yeah, Mountain West. Not a whole lot of competition there, in terms of top shelf talent, and Sony Michel, he played in the national championship game.
It's a visibility thing for sure.
I think it's a visibility thing. I also think they are both very good complete backs. I don't think you would really go wrong one way or the other. I personally like Sony more. He reminds me so much of Clinton Portis when I watch him run that that's what I want.
By the way. Yeah, and we're going to have, we won't give the name out, but we're going to have a pretty good guest next week to talk running backs so we can get some more insight into some of these guys. See, in terms of what you're saying, though, if you look at the numbers, well, first of all, who would you have picked in the poll? We didn't do that.
I would have gone with Sony.
Sony, okay.
Yeah, but between those, I like Ragnow. I think he could fall fourth, and if he does, we should snag him. But, yeah.
Yeah, but to me, it'd be between Penny and Ragnow, and if you force me to make a choice, I'd probably go with Penny just because I've been so, hard up on the running back thing.
We didn't get a running back in the first round in this scenario, so we kind of need one.
Yeah. So, but for purposes of the poll of our mock draft, Sony Michel is officially drafted, so that's what we'll go with next week when we do round 4. But in terms of Sony, yes, he's from Georgia. He really only had one elite year, okay? This is my problem with him. If you look at his 2000... He didn't play much in 2014, fine. 2015 and 16, he averaged 5.2 and 5.5 yards per carry, respectively, which in the NFL would be amazing, but in college, it's kind of blah, okay?
Yeah, I mean, that's a decent clip in college.
It's decent, but you're not talking about first-round talent or second-round talent with stats like that. And in 2017, he blew up. 7.9 yards per carry, 1,227 yards, 16 touchdowns. I get it. Now, Penny, on the other hand, with the caveat that he's against the Mountain West, never averaged below 6 yards per carry in his entire college career.
Right.
7.5 yards per carry, over 2,200 yards rushing last year. The number one rusher in college football, or at least in Division I, or whatever they call Division I now. So,
Right.
I mean, I like the results. We'll have to trust our expert, to see what our expert says, when he comes on. He or she comes on next week. Although I can't name a female running back expert, so it's not a woman. We'll give you that much.
Well, I mean, I bet you if we got Lindsay Zarniak on or somebody like that, she would know something.
We tried, but didn't we try to get her on at one point in time?
Yeah, but that was when she was with ESPN, and she's too big now. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Right.
Because, we're always after a female guest, as we said.
So,
anyway, to me, if it's the Michelle or Penny choice, I'd go Penny. That having been said, we desperately need, there's not a bigger need on the team than guard. I'm just worried that if they keep passing on a guard, what are we going to get down to? Maybe we're going to go over. I know we have it on the agenda to preview O-line.
Yeah,
maybe we decide to go there now.
I was actually kind of thinking that. I know we have our little order we made up, but let's switch up the spots 2 and 3 real quick, and why don't we kind of go into the O-line question?
Okay.
Because, all right, when it comes to running backs, or just to wrap that up, you would go Penny, I would go Michelle. I don't think either of us would be upset either way.
No.
Both are going to be decent.
I also throw out there, some of you guys are Nick Chubb fans, and a couple comments about Chubb.
Yeah.
Chubb, for those of you under a rock, Chubb was the other running back at Georgia, okay? Mm-hmm. And Chubb ran for 1,300 yards himself, 6 yards per carry. He's 5'10", 225, so he's a little thicker than Michelle. Only had 4 receptions all year.
Right.
So he's the thumper. And Michelle is a little different.
They had a hell of a 1-2 there with Chubb and Michelle.
There's no doubt. No doubt. But the other thing also is, when you're playing in the SEC,
right,
and you've got
you need a couple good running backs.
Yeah, you do. You need a couple good running backs, and you also have much bigger, much better offensive lines. So there's that. So we'll get into running backs later. But O-line, go ahead.
Yeah, let's do the O-line thing.
All right.
Yeah. So, Adam, we mentioned him earlier. He wrote a piece about, who he would rank as the top choices for offensive line. But he talked about both offensive tackle and guard in his piece on, what day did he write that?
It was this week. It was this Wednesday.
Yeah, the 10th. So, it's a couple days old now. But his ranking, do we want to do offensive tackles much?
I think we do. No, I think we do, because we're not talking about a replacement for Trenton Williams or Morgan Moses, who's got an outrageously large contract. But if we learned anything last year, it's that the Redskins need depth. Also, Ty, we love Ty. Ty did our show, and we're fans of his story and all that. But was he 32?
Yeah, he'll be 32, and he's coming up on his free agent year where he's unrestricted. So
right. Next year,
odds are probably more likely than not that he's going to go find somewhere where he can get a shot to start for a year or two, and make some starter money.
That's what I think. So I think,
and by the way, he would deserve it. He deserves $5-10 million for a year after everything he's done. So,
he was a great guy. I mean, I loved having him on the show, and he was clearly a serious guy, and the perseverance he showed, just amazing, the stuff he went through. So I'm really rooting for him. I mean, he's not going to get the shot here unless disaster strikes somehow with Trent and his health.
Right.
He's just not going to have it here. So, I mean, I don't want to see him go, but I'm rooting for him to see him get the money, somewhere after everything he's been through.
When it does happen, best of luck to him. Anyway, well, let's go through his top 10 list. Real quick at tackle, and we can probably focus later on the later guys, because that's if we get a tackle, it's probably in day 3.
Right.
So his number 1 is Connor Williams. Number 2, Mike McGlinty. Colton Miller at number 3. Jamarco Jones is number 4. Number 5, Martinez Rankins. Is that right, pronouncer?
Martinez Rankins from Mississippi State. Let's stop right there.
Yeah.
He's. He may be a little high for us, but if the Redskins Adam lists him as a day 2 prospect, meaning rounds 2 and 3. If the Redskins somehow picked up another draft choice, is he possible? Yes. So, Rankins is a guy who, again, Mississippi State, so another SEC guy. What Adams? This is Adams' analysis, not mine. Quick feet, deliberate. He's good laterally, meaning you can move laterally, which is important when you're running zone schemes. As we know, the Redskins have multiple personalities when it comes to the run game, so we need somebody who can do that. High IQ, high IQ, good quickness, good awareness. The weaknesses that Adam says inconsistent with his hand placement. Struggles with resetting his hands against the bull rush. Struggles with speed off the edge. So those are some strengths and weaknesses. That's a guy that, and Adams also mentioned he may be better inside. So this may be a guy who can be versatile. If he's more of an inside guy, because it's not like we don't need depth at guard too.
No.
Unless you guys think that Kyle Kalis is depth.
Nobody thinks that.
Well, Mrs. Kalis may. God bless Mrs. Kalis.
Yeah.
She's out there listening.
And
right
Father
now.
Kalis.
And Father Kalis too, yeah, both
Yes.
of them. But certainly Mom, though. I mean, anyway, so the reason why I wanted to stop at Rankin is that this may be a guy, if they get an extra pick, who could be versatile enough to kind of be a backup everything. So,
let me ask you this before we move on. 6'5", do you think he's a little too big for that to, play
guard? We don't
guard?
have anybody shorter than 6'5" on our team now who's playing guard.
I guess not. That's true.
And remember what our O-line experts have said, though, also. It's both Robbie, Duncan, and Adam have both told us you can be a little taller as long as you have technique that's good, and you can get low and get leverage. So I think it's, unless you're, wasn't it even Robbie who advocated that Ty and Secchi should start at guard for a while?
Yeah, that's true.
I think that was
Ty's
Robbie, not
6'7" or something. So
he's 6'8", yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's keep going then. Brian O'Neill is number 6. Orlando Brown, number 7. Desmond Harrison's number 8. Then he's got Crosby, and you're going to have to help me with number 10.
Chukwuma Okafor.
Chukwuma. I like the name, Chukwuma. So that's his 10th. Now, the other guy that Adam mentions is a guy I actually liked when I saw him in the NFL scouting combine, and that was Harrison.
Right.
Who, on the light side, he's only 288 pounds, but he was easily the most athletic in terms of footwork.
Let's just say this.
O-line. Yeah.
He's not on the light side. He's too light. He can't
That's
play
fair.
tackle at 288 pounds. He's going to have to bulk up.
Right.
But go
288,
ahead, sorry.
you can maybe play inside, but,
Not on this team, you can't. We've got a bunch of Hulks.
Not like you maybe on a zone team. Like Shanahan, he had guys in the 280s.
Yeah. But I don't think that's the way we're going,
No, it's not. But
go ahead, Harrison.
Yeah, Harrison, if you go and watch some of his combine or look at his combine numbers, watch some of his combine performance, his footwork is really impressive. He could be somebody who, kind of like how Trent Williams, is known for getting downfield on blocks, he could be that same kind of guy on the line. Not that he's, Trent Williams, but...
Our expert, Adam, loves Desmond Harrison.
Right.
In the rankings in the piece, you'll see that he actually ranked Desmond Harrison as the offensive lineman with the highest ceiling, which really, I had to, I'm the editor for these things, and when I saw that, I actually had to text him and go, "Are you sure you really meant this?" And he did mean it. Harrison has, like you mentioned, an elite level of athleticism. Like off the charts kind of athleticism. His problem, other than his size, is that he's pretty raw.
Mm-hmm.
He's a
small
boomer,
school.
Small school. He's from West Georgia. He didn't start much. He's raw technically. He's too light. But if he can make all that work with a good coach, and I've heard people suggest we might have a pretty good O-line coach here in Callahan. You bulk him up 20 pounds, 15, 20 pounds. You get Callahan to work on his technique. You picture this guy, say 3 years down the road when Trent's getting older. Maybe Desmond Harrison. As a day 3 prospect, would you roll the dice on it? I mean, I probably.
Yeah, I definitely would. You remember after the combine, I was really hyped up about him.
Well, you and Adam both. I mean, again,
Yeah.
Adam ranked him as the guy with the highest ceiling, which just blew my mind when I read that.
Well, I mean, if you can, I'm a sucker. If you can get, a decent 40 time as a lineman, I'm a sucker for that because I love seeing, Brandon Scherfs and Trent Williams 30 yards downfield.
You like
making
seeing
blocks.
big fat men sprinting downfield, crushing little tiny secondary guys?
I do. It's one of my favorite things to watch. It reminds me of the old '80s Redskins.
It's kind of like elephants, like running down the field
Yeah,
and trampling
exactly.
over the lion or something.
It's the heavy cavalry, is what it is.
Yeah, it is. So that's tackle. We kind of blew through tackle.
Well, we don't need a first-round tackle.
No, we don't.
I
I don't care if it's BPA. For those of you out there who live and
No.
die by that, it doesn't matter. We don't need a first-round tackle.
Nope.
And Connor Williams, incidentally, is I think this is like the weakest tackle class we've seen in a while in terms of top of the draft
You think
tackles.
so?
We usually see at least one tackle in the top 10, but Connor Williams isn't a top 10 pick. It seems to me like this year's tackle class has some good depth, but
Yeah.
there isn't a Trent Williams, or a
Williams
Joe
and
Thomas out
McGlinty,
there.
you think they might be right tackles in the big scheme of things? Is that it? Or do you think they'll,
No, I mean, I don't know. I don't think they're necessarily right tackles. I just think that they have question marks
Okay.
that some of these guys in the past don't. Like
Right.
what Adam says about Williams is he lacks height, lacks length.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's got some technique things. He had an up and down career at Texas, so he's not a slam dunk prospect, and that's the number one tackle on the board.
Mm-hmm.
That's my point. It seems like we're a little bit light on tackles at the top, but it doesn't matter because, like you said, we don't need a tackle at the top of the draft. God help us if we draft a tackle. I'm throwing something through a window if we draft a tackle in round 1.
Yeah. A tackle or a quarterback are the two spots where I don't want to see us pick. Anything else, I could probably live with it.
You just know we're going to draft Josh Allen and then McGlinchey in the second round. You know
Right.
that's going to happen.
Okay, well, let's move on to guards because unlike tackle, this is probably one of the deeper guard drafts in recent memory.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the top 3 guys off the bat. They're all probably first-round talents. That's Quentin Nelson, Isaiah Wynn, and Will Hernandez. Some people are saying we're just not in a good spot to pick one up, and I know you and I disagree.
Yeah.
We don't care. Oh, it's 13. You can't pick someone who's ranked 25. But who do you kind of like out of those 3?
Well, I mean,
we
the
assume
guys
Nelson will be gone, right?
Yeah, I mean, Nelson is the top of the charts, and everything I've read from the experts, because I'm not going to pretend to be an O-line expert, but I can read.
Right.
And Quentin Nelson is apparently a better prospect than Zach Martin and Brandon Scherf. Like, off the charts, talent, unbelievable mauler.
I think I saw somebody said just fit him for a gold jacket week 1,
Yeah, that's a little bit much maybe.
Well,
but
what
there's
I mean.
film out there of him throwing Deron Payne around like a rag doll. This guy is unbelievable. And
Yeah.
the thing is, the reason why I wanted to mention Nelson is if we really do have a run on quarterbacks and all 5 of these big quarterbacks get drafted, Rosen,
Right.
Darnold, Jackson, Mayfield, or even, God help us, Allen, who's going to get a GM fired because he sucks.
Well, it'll be Cleveland because they apparently are in love with him.
Yeah, and which makes sense,
Yeah.
because Josh Allen is inaccurate. Great guy,
Right.
in terms he looks like he belongs out of central casting, but the man isn't accurate, And the other thing is Mel Kiper loves him, and that's just a kiss of death.
Right.
But my point here is if all 5 of them go, then you have Chubb, the defensive end, Saquon Barkley, Ragnow, and Tremaine Edwards all going. It's possible the linebackers, Smith and Edwards, it's possible that Quentin Nelson may drop because he's a guard, and some teams out there refuse to draft guards. So
Yeah.
I think this is the guy that if he happens to drop to 13, this is the guy I would run to the podium over.
Oh yeah, no question. I mean, he's in that list. Barkley's in that list. There's other guys there.
Barkley just isn't. There's just no way Barkley's going to.
No, it's almost impossible for any of those guys. But it's like those two and maybe Fitzpatrick. I've heard the Redskins love Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I don't know if I'd run to the podium over him, but Quentin Nelson, I would definitely run to the podium
I would too.
over.
I would run. I would be happy, thrilled if any of those guys fell to us. They're all difference makers. That's the thing.
Right. But in terms of the other two guys, the other two guys at the top,
Wynn and
Isaiah
Hernandez.
Wynn and Hernandez, I think we are in kind of a weird spot over it because I don't think anybody would say that either Wynn or Hernandez is really an appropriate pick at 13. Even I don't want to drop too much. I'm not down with using a 13th pick on a guy who should be drafted at 30, for example.
Right.
That's a little much.
Yeah, I understand that. Both of them, though, when you watch film on them, they're very similar players. They play mean, as I've heard Adam say, and I've heard other people, like our old friend Robbie said.
Right.
They play with that nasty streak. And I don't know about you, that's kind of what I love seeing in guards.
I do love seeing that in guards.
Yeah.
The thing I would say about Wynn and Hernandez is that these guys are not people who can move around, okay?
No.
Isaiah Wynn is 6'3", 313. Hernandez is only 6'2", 348. So you're talking about interior guys only. And if there's one thing I think we can all probably agree on about Jay Gruden is he loves versatility.
Yeah, that's true.
He loves versatility. And I'm not sure that if it was his druthers, he would draft people that are too short to be a tackle. Because you cannot put, no matter how good the person is, you can't put somebody who's 6'2" at right or left tackle in the modern NFL.
No. I mean, granted, Hernandez can make up with it with some bulk, but,
right.
And you're also not going to have that guy really doing a lot of pulling, I'd imagine, either. That'd be the other thing.
Now, Ragnow, on the other hand, is 6'5".
Right.
And so he's tall enough to be versatile.
Right.
But he's probably a guard, but if disaster strikes, that would be the guy to move around. And so that's why I agree with Adam's analysis that he's probably the better day 2 prospect than Hernandez or Wynn because I know that the Redskins love versatility that much.
That's an interesting point. I hadn't really thought about that part. Let's just say James Daniels is who Adam ranked as number 4. Ragnow's number 5, as you just mentioned.
Right.
I think, I haven't watched a lot of, highlights of Ragnow or really anyone past those top 3 guys, just because I'm not an expert. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert when it comes to guards.
Right.
There's only so much I can pick up just watching film. But the guy they have at 6 here, the guy Adam has at 6, is somebody we mentioned the Redskins met with, and that's Billy Price out of Ohio State. He's kind of a guard/center, which would fit your versatility thing.
Right. Some of you guys out there love Price.
Yeah.
Some people think Price is the pick. I mean, all I can say is that Adam ranked him below Ragnow for a reason. I have not. I'm not going to be able to give you any insight on Billy Price. I mean, I watched some Ohio State football, but I can't speak to Billy Price. So I'll take Adam's word for it when it comes to the rankings. I wouldn't be unhappy with Price based on what I've read about him, but I think Ragnow would be the better choice. And Price is a little smaller, a little shorter than Ragnow. He's another guy, if you're 6'4", is that maybe a bit too small for, flipping out to tackle if you have to. Price, like you said, more of a center, interior guy,
right?
Maybe less versatile. I like the fact that of these guys that are realistic, that's why I like Ragnow better.
I mean, I do think we need somebody who can kick inside almost worse than someone who can play, tackle right now.
Oh, absolutely, definitely. You're totally
that
right.
was the one thing that we really lost with Spencer Long was somebody who was a good center and a good guard.
I really think that if they could have grabbed Long on a 1-year deal for cheap, they would have wanted to keep him.
Yeah.
I think what we've seen here, I've said this before on the show, but I think what's going on here on the line is the front office knows they can't spend a fortune on the next starter.
Right.
Because we've got, I don't have my cap chart open, but
We're putting a lot of money into it. I know.
Yeah, we're putting a ton of money into it. I think that's why we didn't see the Redskins go after some of these elite, Andrew Norwell level guard prospects.
And I agree with that. I understand it. I also think that just philosophically, Jay Gruden's one of these old school thinkers who says, "Oh, you just grab a guard in the 4th round."
Yeah, he's basically said it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's film. I don't know if you saw it. It was last year, I think, when somebody asked Jay about.
When they asked him about the draft picks, and he kind of was unhappy that they picked a guard in the first round.
He was practically spitting venom out. And it was like, we've had 2 first-round draft picks. One wide receiver hasn't played, and the other is a guard.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And so he likes Surf, I think, but...
And I can understand the notion that you want more impact guys in the first round too. At the same time,
yeah. And that's why O-line, D-line or bust crowd out there for the first round pick. I really think that's really not the way the Redskins are going to go. I think they want an impact player.
I think they do. They need an impact player on both sides of the ball. They don't.
Yeah.
They had one 2 years ago in Deshaun Jackson, and we didn't have one at all really last year.
Yeah, and that's, Vita Vea, I know there's the, Vea or bust crowd out there. I mean, raise your hand if you think the Redskins are going to draft a nose tackle, yes, he's more versatile than that. I get it. But primarily he's an interior guy. He'd be lining up, in the zero technique, on the plays in which, we're in that. I just can't see the Redskins doing that with 13, given what we know about the team, given what they've said about how they want an offensive impact player.
Sure.
I just don't see it for that reason. And I know, yes, the Redskins were drafted 30 or ranked 32nd in running. I get it. But I think they're going to be better next year with the return of Jonathan Allen. All by itself should help.
Agree. And let's just be clear. You can have defensive linemen who become that impact. I mean, Reggie White is the legendary example. But, I think your odds of finding somebody like that probably higher in other position groups in the first round. All right, so the last couple names Adam has on here, Braden Smith, Austin Corbett, Wyatt Teller, who I guess Adam probably played with.
Yeah, at Virginia Tech.
Yeah, and then Colby Gossett. And none of those names really stand out to me. I don't know about you.
I'd like to do a 15-minute soliloquy on Colby Gossett.
Oh, really? Okay.
No, I don't. I've never heard of him.
I was going to say.
Other than him being ranked 10th here, I've never heard of him.
Yeah.
So I will trust
There's a couple names I'm surprised he didn't have on his list, like Will Clapp. I know I've seen him ranked higher other places. And maybe it's because is he more of a center maybe? I don't know. But, that kind of covers... Adam's lists. I don't know if you have any other thoughts about linemen, Steve, at this point.
No, I mean, to me, some of you out there are going to hate this, but to me, the ideal draft is, Quentin Nelson falls to us, and we could draft Rashad Penny in the second round.
Right.
That'd be just about perfect. The odds of that happening, slim and none, and slim left town, of course, but
yeah,
if that went that way, I'd be very happy.
I would as well. So let's go on to our next topic now, and that is that the Cowboys released our longtime nemesis, Dez Bryant. Steve, were you surprised by the move?
No, I wasn't surprised by the move because Dez had a $17 million cap hit.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that Dez Bryant has been in decline for a while now.
Right.
I think Dez is more of a name now than he is an elite talent. And listen, I mean, we've gotten a lot of comments. Dez, from the people who've tweeted at us and everything, because as we told you, we get a ton of them now. It's either a love or hate thing with Dez.
Mm-hmm. Mostly hate.
Yeah, but there's some people out there who are just crying for him. So let me show you his progression, okay? The high water mark for Dez Bryant.
Was it when he got in fights with his own team?
Well, yeah. 2012, 13, and 14, okay? 14 was without a doubt his best
year.
1,300 yards, 88 receptions, 64.7% catch percentage, 16 touchdowns. Pro Bowler, All-Pro. That was his high watermark. But since then, we've had 3 years of awful, okay? He only played 9 years in 2015.
You mean 9 games?
Sorry, yeah, 9 games in 2015. He went from 15 yards per reception in 2014 to 12.9 in 2015. 2016, 50 receptions on 96 targets. And then this past year was by far his worst year of his career, except for his rookie year. 69 receptions on 132 targets, 838 yards, 12.1 yards per reception, and 52% catch percentage. And I think the big bugaboo with Dez in his entire career is catch percentage.
Yeah.
He's never had an elite catch percentage. He's always dropped some balls. The thing in the playoffs notwithstanding, which really was a catch. He doesn't have the greatest hands. And, yes, I mean, he's given the Redskins fits at times.
Sure.
So I pulled that up, too.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
But, while you're pulling that up, I will say part of the issue with those numbers is, remember that, Romo was getting hurt, and let's face it, Dak Prescott is not a, air-it-out quarterback. He's
not.
He's the game control, clock control quarterback now for them. So it's also a shift in philosophy. We have to keep that in mind.
It is. But what I was trying to say was that the high watermark of Dez Bryant against the Redskins was 2012, November 22nd, which would have been the Thanksgiving week game.
Which we won.
11 targets, 8 receptions, 145 yards. So that was his best game. The only other game he had over 100 yards against us was in 2016, 102 yards and 7 receptions.
That's it? He's only had 2?
Yeah, he's only had 2.
That actually sounds shockingly low to me.
Well, we've always seemed to play Dez pretty well, other than that one, the one game you're talking about. But to me, I think Dez Bryant is about unfulfilled expectations.
Right.
Because when he came out of college, I thought, the Dallas Cowboys certainly thought, that the guy was the next big thing.
Yeah, the next Terrell Owens kind of thing.
Yeah, he had elite level athleticism, everything else. Yes, he was a wreck mentally, but put that aside. But what he's really turned into now, which is why I don't want him on the Redskins, Cowboy hate aside, I just don't like the guy. I don't like his attitude. I don't like the way he lives. I don't like anything about him. But put that aside. Look at just on the field stuff. To me, this guy at this point is just a possession receiver. And where's he going to play? Right. He's an X receiver, and he's a possession guy. We already have Josh Doxson, starting at the X.
Right.
So are we going to pay Dez, some large amount of money to come in and back up Josh Doxson and be a possession guy, who's on the field as a fourth receiver maybe? I just don't think that's what we need, and he's 29 years old. I think we can do better.
Well,
that's
and
why I don't
29
like
is not a death sentence age or anything for receivers. Especially possession guys, they can go for a good long time. We've seen that with some notable names.
Yeah, but I'd rather go young, though.
I would, too. And, all the other stuff you mentioned about him, the antics, the thing with his mom that happened so long ago, which I don't blame him for. I
don't know what happened. I don't know who to blame.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like his mom has always had issues, but
yeah,
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there because crazy parent is a crazy parent.
Right.
But I'm with you. I don't want him. Now, the interesting thing about the story was supposedly he told the reporters he wants to play the Cowboys twice a year next year.
Right.
And that would obviously mean one of 3 teams. All 3 teams have said they have no interest in Dez Bryant, I saw. The Redskins have already said they don't want him.
Have they?
I saw...
Have the Redskins really said that?
Well, I think it was Mike Jones or somebody like that was saying that...
Well, yeah, that's true. Mike Jones reported
in
a tweet that he had heard that the Redskins don't want him.
Right, and I think he also said the Eagles and Giants are in the same kind of boat. So... Dez is, if he's going to play the Cowboys twice, he's got to find like a team that's playing him in preseason.
Yeah, that may be.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to be objective about it instead of just mouthing off emotionally about it.
I'm with you.
And I will say that some of his teammates namely beloved former Redskin Alfred Morris and new Redskin Orlando Scandrick have both went to bat for him. Both put out on social media that Bryant was a great teammate. Okay, from our perspective as biased Redskins fans, he's a mess, and there's a lot to hate. But I do trust those two guys who played with him to say he would be a good teammate. So if you put the emotion out of it, those of you out there, take the emotion out of it. I just don't see where he has a place to play at any sort of contract that he would want to sign.
Right.
That's the thing. If you come in and bring him in for a minimum salary, sure, okay, or some small number, I'm fine with it. But I don't think that's what Dez wants.
I mean, you could maybe see him in. Trying to think of what teams are really wide receiver starved. I guess Baltimore is, right. I
mean, the Saints, Buffalo, maybe you'd be another one, and just kind of spitballing on it.
You always see a guy like him end up in New England and has a big year and then gets kicked to the curb. But, I'm not that excited by the whole, where he goes thing. Because to me, he was never like a destructive, you had to watch out for him, but he's not the kind of threat where you're worried about him doing what Antonio Brown does or something like that, Well,
that's the thing. I mean, I think he's more name. He's a name right now. The fact of the matter is he's not been the breakaway, dangerous, down the field threat that he was earlier in his career.
Right.
If you give me the 2014 Dez Bryant, sure, I'll take that in a heartbeat.
Right.
Mess of a person aside, I'll take that. But we're getting 2017 Dez, and he just hadn't been the same.
No.
For a while now.
I think we would all be a hard pass on that. The one person who said he would welcome him on the team was Josh Norman, and I don't know why, because I think they have like that TV thing, that commercial they did together. But that's one of Josh Norman's off the field things he does. And he also
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, he's also doing another off the field thing as I steamroll to the next topic, and that is that Josh Norman will be doing Dances with the Stars this year. It's in the off season. It might come up to OTAs if he's still in it, and then he would maybe miss some OTA time. But what do you think, Steve? I mean, I'm assuming you're like me. You've probably never watched a minute of Dancing with the Stars, right?
No. I mean, I got roped into watching half of one episode one time.
Okay. They're made for, can we say wives? Housewives? Yes.
Yeah, And to the truth, as far as the dancing part, I can't. It all looks the same to me.
Yeah.
I just have no ability to see what's good and not, and it doesn't really interest me. And so
I
from
a
show
robot.
perspective,
that's my dancing.
I can't dance. I can't do any dance.
Yeah.
That's not my thing. But more importantly, I can't look at it and know what's good and not. And, I mean, girls in slinky outfits, I'm all for that. But in terms of the dancing, I don't know.
Right.
But in terms of Josh Norman, I think if you are mad about this, you need to reevaluate the things you get mad about. I don't care if he wants to do Dancing with Stars, more power to him. If he misses an OTA day or two, it's not the end of the world. He's a long-time vet. And if he's missing long stretches of it, that's another matter.
That's a big difference, though.
But all these guys miss a day or two of OTAs. I don't care. If maybe it'll bring some attention to the Redskins, positive coverage. These athletes seem to be good because, again, I don't watch the show, neither do you, as we said. But it always seems like athletes are winning these competitions.
Yeah, did Jason Taylor win or something? I know he was on it early on.
I think Terrell Owens was the guy who did real well, right?
Yeah,
I don't know, but
wait,
I don't know. It
Jason
wasn't Terrell
Taylor
Owens
on it when he was a Redskin, or was it the year after?
It was after.
Oh, okay.
It was Emmitt Smith that won the show.
Oh, okay. Ago. Gotcha.
But anyway, my point is, I mean, it's not something I would do, for sure.
No.
But if he wants to do it, make himself another buck, more power to him.
I think those guys get paid for that. It can't be that much. These shows are basically, hey, find cheap labor and print money. That's the whole point.
These are B-level celebrities, and so they have to get paid something.
Right.
They can't
That's
just
true.
not like, it's not like an MTV, show where they're not paying anybody anything. So from a contract standpoint, they're probably getting paid a reasonable amount per episode. But it's
scale.
Not.
They're getting scales.
It's way more than scale. It's not. Tom Cruise isn't going to do Dancing with the Stars, but they've gotten some. It's got to be enough money to get Josh Norman's attention.
I guess so.
That way. And Josh Norman is a rich guy.
Yeah. Well, he's got all those horses. He's got to get the horse feed money.
He's a country guy at heart.
Yeah, he is. Well, he's from the Carolinas, right?
Yeah.
Or is it Georgia? Somewhere like that.
No, it's Carolina.
Okay.
Carolina. But listen, I mean, the point of all this is, no, I won't watch just because he's on the show, because I just can't. But also, no, I don't care. I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think you guys should be criticizing Josh for doing this. It's not like he's going to miss anything that's all that critical, if he misses anything.
Well, I would like him to stop missing interceptions. That's the only thing I'd like him to stop missing.
When does the show? Do we know when this show starts? We didn't look this up beforehand.
No. I
we
again,
should have looked it up bebeforehand, but we didn't.
It's on what? CBS? I don't even get CBS.
Oh, I think it's ABC.
I don't get ABC either. So, I'm not watching. Let's move on to the next or the last couple topics we have here. These are just the nonsense that's going on because it's a slow news week. First, Otha Peters and safety Oren Stewart were both let go by the team. These are, the classic moves we talked about last week where, hey, there's guy 75 and 76. We might need to replace them, so just let them go.
The only thing I don't know, I don't have anything to say about the team losing Otha Peters and Orion Stewart necessarily. Yeah. The only thing I'll say about it is, for those of you wondering, this is not a cap-saving move. They both recovered under the rule of 51, so it has absolutely no effect whatsoever on the salary cap. So this is just a matter of the team deciding those two guys weren't good enough, and they cut them.
They're deck chairs is what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not anymore. They got thrown off the side.
Yes. Well, and maybe somebody will float on one. I don't know. The other one to mention is, I don't know if we mentioned that Stephen Morris was released after we signed Hogan.
I don't think we did mention it.
Yeah, I don't think we did, thinking back, because I think it happened after we recorded. He's now with the Seahawks.
Yeah, I remember saying on the last show that I liked Stephen Morris as a developmental prospect, and clearly the team did not agree with me because they threw his deck chair over the side as well.
Right. But he's with the Seahawks, and I'm with you. I think he is a decent enough prospect for a third stringer.
But he started a little bit of controversy, though. Not Morris himself, but the Morris signing was a bit controversial in Seattle.
Oh, because of the whole Colin Kaepernick thing.
Yeah, because the rumor was that the Seahawks wanted Colin Kaepernick, but Kaepernick refused to say he wouldn't kneel for the national anthem, and so they signed Stephen Morris instead. And so this is another, for those of you who want to argue about that, and I'd rather claw my eyes out than argue about it more.
It's
but
just more meat. Yeah, meat
it's
for that argument.
More meat for the grinder.
Yep. So that's kind of it for Redskins moves. The last thing we had on the list that let's, I guess, talk about it, even though, talk about wanting to claw your eyes out. Robert Griffin III is now part of the crab cake eating Hun bastards up north of D.C. So, he's going to be the backup.
Are you still surprised at this? I'm not surprised that somebody gave him a shot. I mean, I guess it's a little surprising, but I was surprised it was the Ravens because it doesn't seem to be in the mold of Flacco. It seems to me you'd have to kind of change your offense a little bit for Griffin when Flacco is out.
I'm with you there, but they had Tyrod Taylor as a backup for years for Flacco, remember?
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
And he's a, RG3 light kind of character.
Yeah, he's a runner.
Yeah, he was a runner first.
Taylor's more proven than Griffin at this point.
At this point, yes. At this point, Griffin is Tyrod Taylor light. So,
yes.
You have that going. I'll tell you what doesn't surprise me about it. Nothing Baltimore's doing makes sense anymore. Ozzie Newsome was a great GM for a long time, but the last 2 years up there, it's been like, what's going on? Like, he just throws darts at a dartboard now.
He ain't been quite so great.
No. There's a good reason he's retiring.
Yeah. I mean, see, the Ravens don't really have a legitimate number 2 quarterback right now.
Nope.
They've only got a real minor, backup developmental guy on the roster other than Flacco. So it looks to me like Griffin may actually make the team and may be their backup quarterback this year.
Well, and to be even crazier, apparently there's some talk that they're going to let Flacco walk after this year, and Griffin could be in contention to start next year.
Flacco's contract is onerous.
It's the insane contract of all insane contracts.
It really is. And I think you can make a legitimate argument if I haven't gone through and done this, but I would guess you can make a legitimate argument that Flacco's contract has had a direct impact on who they could re-sign, the Ravens.
Sure.
This is what we all were afraid of would happen with Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
Is you'd end up with a Flacco contract. But listen, I have nothing against Robert Griffin. He's a little corny. I think his ego has taken a step or 10 down at this point.
I don't know if it's a step or 10. It may be 1. But he was on the top of Mount Everest with his ego before, so...
Yeah, he was. But if it works out for him, I'm happy for him, unless they play the Redskins. I don't wish any ill will on him. He probably needs the income at this point because he hadn't worked in a few years.
Well, he was doing TV, but that was it.
Yeah. What the interesting thing is that the preseason schedule was announced last week, and guess what is the 4th game of the preseason but the Ravens.
Sure.
So it's possible that Griffin could be starting that game.
Is that going to be here, or is that in Baltimore?
Give me 1 second.
I feel like we always play in Baltimore for some reason.
I think it's an away game.
Yeah.
It's in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Why we always go up there, I don't know. But it's probably better for Griffin than he's not coming in to FedEx Field.
Oh, there were some jokes about like what you could do for montages if you were playing at the Redskins Stadium in that preseason game.
It would be a montage of him falling like a gazelle when he gets pounded by some linebacker.
Oh no, people were going mean. Think like the whole remember the wedding presents thing and all that stuff. People want to get personal.
I think if you guys are, my advice to everybody out there is just let it go.
Yeah,
it's not worth. Yes, he was at a minimum partly responsible for what went on here. I don't think any of us will ever really know. Certainly, Mike Shanahan was partly responsible as well.
Sure.
But it's time to let go. If you guys are still holding a grudge against this person, he's been gone for 3 seasons now.
4.
Let him go.
I think.
Well, in 2000,
Oh wait, no wait, he was benched that one. You're right, 3.
Yeah. He hadn't played in 4 years, and he's been off the roster, since the 2015 preseason.
Yep.
So I don't care. It's a spectacle, maybe, and that's it for me. Good luck.
I only care that he fails because I like watching the Ravens fail. To
that extent,
it's that whole DC Baltimore thing. So
see, but if you're a true DC guy, Alex, and you should know that the proper way to treat this is recognize that Baltimore hates DC, and then recognize that DC people don't care one way or another about Baltimore.
See,
that's the way I appropriately approach it to me.
That's how you should care about the other things in sports. I want them to fail. Like,
but see, they always beat up on us.
Oh, look at our city's better because we have crab cakes or something. No, that's not better. Congratulations, you're eating, like ocean rats. Good for you.
Well, and I can make a crab cake.
Yeah,
I don't need. I
can actually make a very good crab cake.
Yeah, I don't like crab myself, but I don't need to be in Baltimore to make a crab cake. You guys don't have a patent and a trademark on crab cakes because you're in Baltimore.
Right. Exactly.
So
and
certainly, do we root for the Ravens to fail? Yes. But I do, even though I'm not in D.C. anymore, I do harbor some of the contempt for Baltimore in that I recognize that they barely exist, even though I know they hate D.C.
Sure. And, in the big picture, yes, you're right. I don't know if we have anything else that you can think of that we should cover. We're almost at an hour. So for what we call the quiet week, this has not been bad.
Well, the other thing I like to mention is this is totally off the topic and totally off football, but I have noticed that in the past week or two that the Mayweather-McGregor nonsense was building up again, and it looked like Mayweather may actually start to train for the UFC. That was until McGregor got himself arrested for assaulting a bus.
Right. Is he out of on bail now? Is that right?
I think he's out on bail, yeah. So I wanted to mention this because, as you know, I'm a big boxing fan.
Yeah.
I just cannot believe that Money Mayweather would be so incredibly stupid at age 40 to jump into the UFC ring and get demolished by somebody like Conor McGregor or someone else. It just seems so insane to me. Even if it's a ton of money, I just can't imagine why you'd want to do it.
Only to show that you really are better than him at both. That's the only logic.
He's not, though. He's not.
Well, but that would be the only argument to make. That I'm not telling you it's right. I'm just saying you're asking why. I'm giving you the why.
Yeah, I mean, that and money. The guy loves money.
Oh yeah.
So if
well,
they pay him
I mean,
enough money,
he goes through it like I think he just gets the big pile of money in a wheelbarrow and sets it on fire every time.
Probably so, because he seems to be spending a lot of it all the time.
Yeah.
He's going to be one of these guys that's broke, 20 years from now.
Oh, of course.
Sure.
We see it with athletes all the time. You know that.
But I think the reason why I wanted to mention that is if a fight like that happens, it will be just as much of a joke as the Mayweather-McGregor boxing match was. Because from a boxing perspective, Mayweather was toying with McGregor the entire fight.
Oh, yeah.
And he was just playing with him. He could have knocked him out in the second round if he'd wanted to. It was a complete joke of a fight, and that's what the UFC fight would be. So I just wanted to mention that because I thought it was so insanely crazy that.
So you're a boxing. Are you a UFC guy at all, or no?
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that I hate it or anything, but I just don't find it as entertaining.
I'm
Number
with
one,
you.
I boxed a little bit in college, so I do know a little bit about boxing. I mean, I'm no champion here, but I did box competitively a little bit, and the UFC is just boring to me. It's a lot of wrestling, and I'm not really into wrestling.
Sure.
All
the
and it's a lot of laying
on the ground.
it's
I don't
a lot of
understand
laying on the
what's
ground
going
and
on.
grappling. Me neither, and that's why it's just not. It doesn't interest me as much as boxing does because I can appreciate the technical part of boxing and see what guys did at a high level that I did at a low level.
Right, I get that. That's when I'm watching like Taekwondo in the Olympics. That's the same kind of like I did that and hurt myself. This guy did a aerial jumpwards back kick and landed just fine. I broke a foot.
Yeah. So I wanted to mention that because it just seems crazy, and I think whoever out there is in Mayweather's circle or his family or whoever it is, unless he's beat you up, and you're a woman and he's beat you up, then don't talk to him. But talk to that man and tell him that it's dumb. Please, we don't need to see anybody get hurt. He's going to get hurt.
Well, also, if anyone were going to do this, I'd want to see guys in their 20s doing it anyway. Like, if we're going to really say what's better, let's get a couple 25-year-olds from both sports to fight it out, But
then it's like, why? I mean, unless you need the money, why would they do it? I'm a boxer. Why would you get Canelo out there in the UFC ring? He's a boxer,
Yeah.
So, anyway, I didn't mean to go on a rant. I just wanted to mention that.
I actually enjoy not talking about, the same thing. I mean, I'm not going to go on a rant about the Arena Football League. It just started yesterday. The Valor got their ass kicked. But, you got your ass kicked again, Valor. Stop getting your ass kicked.
If you guys out there want us to cover the Valor more than we do, speak up and let us know.
Yeah.
Tweet us, email us, or something.
I'll cover them if people are interested, but I don't.
Because we kind of had the opportunity to do it last year, and the interest kind of fell off, and it was becoming the law of diminishing returns was applying to it. So if you're interested, let us know.
That's a good idea. All right, but that should kind of cover us this week. Thanks everybody for listening in. Hopefully we will be back at full power next week. We have a guest coming in, so hopefully it's not just Steve and I talking to him. Although that would kind of be cool.
It would.
Everyone, make sure that you are, keep on checking us on social media. Keep on going to ticketclub.com and go buy something there. Go buy a T-shirt from us too. We have T-shirts.
We never pimp our T-shirts.
No,
ever.
we never pimp our
terrible
T-shirts.
job.
I designed some slightly unusual T-shirts that people should like.
What you need to do, Alex? Go on. I don't know how to do it.
But
maybe we need to put a photo of a T-shirt on our Twitter.
We can do that. Yeah, I can figure that out. But other than that, everyone have a good week.
Later.